is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Women empower women. We're daughters, wives, sisters, and mothers making strides in our own lives. We're women in sports, and what matters to you matters to us. Let's talk about it all on The Playmaker. Here's your host, Nikki Harrison.
Hello and welcome to The Playmaker. I am Nikki Harrison, and I can't believe that it's October already. And so while several of us are excited about pumpkins and cooler temperatures, I'm excited about all things pink because that means it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And joining me today are two Playmakers. We've got breast cancer survivor Cheryl Dorris. Thank you for joining us, a true inspiration.
Thank you.
And Kelsey Charles from Susan G Komen.
Hello.
Thank you, ladies, for joining me.
Yes, happy to be here.
Great. I love it. I'm so excited. Okay, I just want to open the floor. What does breast cancer mean to you? Kelsey, I'm sorry. I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's been something that's been on my heart for a while. And I lost my grandmother to breast cancer when I was 10 years old. And so I was impacted by the disease at a very young age. I saw the severity of what it could do to a family and the toll it could take on a body. And I spent a career in sports, but then I found a way to parlay a career in sports that also had some more impactful, meaningful end results and work in the breast cancer space in tandem. And so it's been a really fun journey for me, and I'm excited to be able to combine the best of both worlds and make a difference in the lives of some really deserving people.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Cheryl?
Well, when you asked that question, it was very interesting because I still, even though I'm a survivor, when you say that, I think that's about someone else. It's about women who have overcome. And even with me going through it, it's just like the doctors were talking to someone else when they told me. And then you go in and then they just tell you where to go and you go, where do I go next? Where do I go next? So my mother had breast cancer twice now, and my sister has had it twice.
Wow.
So it's in the family. We don't have the gene. We've all been tested, and we do not have the gene. So we're not sure where it's coming from, but we all have survived, and I'm in the next 3 weeks I will be a 5-year survivor. So
Congratulations.
That is awesome.
Thank you. It just seems like it was just yesterday,
Right.
but it'll be 5 years. So
That's awesome.
That
I
is
mean,
awesome.
November 5th is my diagnosis date. And you know, when you're going through all of this, you're like, okay, well, which line do I go in? Am I 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? And I'm like, where do we start? You know, where do you start saying, you know, where do you start the count from? And at the walk one year, I asked the lady, I said, I don't know which line to go in. And
Right.
she goes, it starts from your diagnosis date. Because once you've been diagnosed, then you start the healing process.
That's when the work begins.
That's when the work begins. And so November 7th is my diagnosis date. So
That's fabulous.
I mean, you talk about, again, what breast cancer means to me, and it's stories like this, and just being able to, we see so many incredible people, all these celebrities and people that we call our heroes and athletes and things like that. But then you sit here and you hear these stories of these
Real life.
exactly, you know, the things that they go through. I was working here when you know you were going through that, and you were here at the office, and you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your job, but you know your body's fighting against this incredibly powerful disease at the same time, and it's the strength that people like yourself have is unparalleled. And so I think there's also this really impactful survivor mentality in the breast cancer space too. That's just so beyond inspiring. I can't even put it into words. And I think that's a really important element to think about while we go into this month too, is not just awareness, but celebrating the spirits
Absolutely.
of these women and men who have been impacted.
Absolutely. I thought about this question. You know, I didn't want to ask you that generic, oh, what was it like when you were first diagnosed? Because I can only imagine what that was first like. What I want to know is how you pushed through, because you're a survivor. and you got through it. How did you do that?
You just take it day by day, and like she said, you tell yourself, this is a fight and I'm gonna win. And I came to work every day that I could, because I didn't want to sit at home and, oh, poor pitiful me. So you just go. I mean, the 7th is the day that they did the biopsy. That was a Friday. They called me the next Wednesday, and that's when they told me that I had cancer. And then that Friday, I went and saw the first doctor. The next Monday, I went in and had MRIs, CT scans. Tuesday, I had a different doctor appointment. Wednesday, I went in and they put the port in, so I went in the hospital. Thursday, I had a chemo class, because you have to take a class to know what to expect. And Friday, I had my first chemo.
And you had to move quickly. Why did you have to move so quickly?
I was stage 2A, but it was 76% growth rate. So it was growing really fast. So a lot of times they'll do surgery first, but with me, they did the chemo first so they could shrink it. It had traveled to some of my lymph nodes. So they wanted to shrink it first and stop it from growing. And then we did the surgery, and then I did radiation after that.
Okay.
So they wanted to get in there really quickly and just stop the growth. And you just go. You're like, okay, what do I do next? Just tell me, you know.
And it's interesting, you know, even just looking at your reaction, my reaction too, listening to just your journey, even within the first couple of weeks, there's so many different things you have to do. And how would you know if you've never been diagnosed?
That's
So it's just, I can only imagine it's this mind-boggling experience of like you said, what do I do next? You know, and hopefully you have great doctors and good resources on your side to help you navigate that process. If you don't, obviously we can go and talk about some of the things that companies like a Komen or other resources can help provide too. But, you know, again, like just diving into that mentality of what it took to even endure those first couple of days is just so, I just can't give you enough credit.
Right.
It's just, and you know, I'm in thinking about it. We have a dear friend that was a makeup artist for us, and she was diagnosed, and she had some people tell her, "Oh, here, let's do the natural thing." That she didn't continue to go to her doctor, and 3 years later, she passed away because by the time she went to the doctor, it had gone other places. So, please, people, if you are diagnosed and you go to the doctor, and like me, you know, you're just going, they're not talking to me.
Right.
They're talking to me about someone else.
Sure.
Right.
You know, if you go get a second opinion.
Yeah.
But please take care of it.
Well, speaking to that, the two words that we always hear, early detection.
Sure.
You know, if you don't have any family history, then you're told you should go get your first mammogram at 40. But if you do have family history, what is that age? It's 30,
30.
correct?
I started at 30.
So at Komen, you know, you'll always hear words of early detection, as we mentioned, and of course that's going to be really important. But early detection is only going to be effective when it's coupled with the proper treatment plans.
Okay.
And so that's really important, as you mentioned, if you detect, it's working hand in hand with your doctor on figuring out, okay, so here's what we're seeing, or here's what we're not seeing, or here's my potentials, and then working in tandem together to figure out what's best for you. There's a few things that, you know, we at Komen recommend. First of all, there's an entire website of resources. It's at komen.org. Very simple. You can literally go to the search bar in there and find any answer to any question that you have. We have a hotline that's open 24/7 with licensed professionals, therapists. They can direct you to doctors with any questions, or nurses. So if you have any concerns or thoughts, or just want to talk to someone, that's always a resource that's available to you. But some of the key things that we encourage people to do in terms of owning your own breast health would be knowing your family history. You mentioned talking about if you had the genetic history, or knowing if you have the BRCA gene, which does give you a predisposition to having breast cancer. It is getting screened when it is time for you to get screened. It's maintaining a healthy lifestyle So things like a healthy weight and alcohol can increase your risks. So overall living a healthy lifestyle is very important too. So there's several things that you can do in addition to just identifying it early and staying on top of your own health. And also just knowing what's normal for you.
For sure.
You know, knowing what is normal, what's not normal. Do you feel weird? Go check it out. Go check
Because we've seen where so many women have found that lump themselves by doing those self-exams.
Sure.
Those are so important, and it's so great to learn how to do those properly because it's important. Now, you being at Komen, what exactly do you do at Susan G. Komen?
Yes. So I work in sponsorships for Susan G. Komen. So I work with brands and I help them, in essence, create programs that help either encourage consumers to own their own breast health or to create products or programs that can then in turn benefit monetarily from a donation perspective, research and the community programs that Susan G. Komen employs.
Okay.
So brands like Bubbly or Pepsi and Ford or the Major League Baseball, Dallas Cowboys, they're my client.
You've gone full circle.
Hey, listen, y'all can't escape me. Don't even try.
So please also explain what exactly does Susan G. Komen do? Because I know a lot of people associate the name with the Race for the Cure and All Things Pink, donations. Explain what all they do for those that don't know.
So for me, what I love about Susan G. Komen is that we're more than just a charity, and research is so wildly important. We donate more towards research outside of any organization outside of the U.S. government, and so that's a huge pillar of what we do. We try and target the most aggressive types of breast cancer and figure out the research programs that are trying to find out why there's a reoccurrence in breast cancer and why it comes back. Things like that are going to be the way that we believe ultimately will help end breast cancer forever. But what I love even more about Komen is that we employ community programs. So it's more than just research for us. A lot of people they think about, well, I'll just get a mammogram. Well, what if you get a proper diagnosis and say you actually do have breast cancer? What if you can't afford treatment? Then what? So our network and grantees enable you to take that next step and get the treatment to take care of your diagnosis if you do receive a positive one.
Gotcha.
We do things like we've realized there's disparities in health where African American women are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than their Caucasian counterparts, and we view that as unacceptable. So there's studies out there that have shown that it's not just a lack of access or education or about breast cancer, but it's also a lack of education on some doctors' parts where African American women have a different tissue makeup than maybe Caucasian women do, so they haven't been diagnosed as properly with mammograms that Caucasian women have. There are studies that have shown that, and so identifying those areas is really important to us. We also do things like provide individual grants. If you can't afford gas in your car to get to treatment, if you can't afford childcare, you're a single parent, or you have your partner can't take care of the kids and you need to get to your treatment, we provide grants to help you with that. So it's a 360-degree approach versus just research. Research is so important, but there's so much more.
I love that.
So.
Now, Cheryl, you have a very demanding job here with the Dallas Cowboys. Tell us what you do.
I work for the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. I'm Kelly Fing Glass's assistant. So we're busy. Thank goodness this happened when we weren't filming our show. So I was able to do a lot of my work from home if I needed to. A funny story is one day, because I did try to come in as much as I could, just to keep your mind off of what's going on, just to keep going. And one day Kelly was telling somebody, she goes, I can always tell when Cheryl's had it for the day. I come in and there's her wig sitting on her desk. I'll just take that wig off and put it on.
I'm done.
I'm like, well, why did I even wear it? But it does help. So I did come to work as much as I could. But the doctor, and you have to listen to the doctor. The doctor said, if you're tired, if you feel like you need to lay down, your body's telling you that it needs to rest. And so I had a pillow and a blanket under my desk, and I'd go into the little conference room. It's when we were at Valley Ranch, so we were kind of back there by ourselves. And I'd go lay on the floor and, cover up with a blanket and set my timer for, 30, 45 minutes and lay down and, rest for a minute and get back up. So
That's good.
you just have to do what you can do. And
You're incredible.
I'm telling you. Now, those days
so
when
funny.
you were dealing with having to go to chemo, I've always heard that chemo just makes you feel sick. It just makes you just feel yucky.
Right.
How did it make you feel?
That was in the class. They were like, you'll be nauseated. Don't eat foods that are your favorite foods because your appetite changes, and if you eat things that are your favorites and then you get sick, then they won't be your favorites anymore.
Yeah,
How
totally.
sad.
Right.
Not to like macaroni and cheese anymore. But they give you so many different things. When I'd go in, I'd look up and there's like 5 different bags hanging there that they put into the little port, which I was so thankful for that, because they didn't have to stick me with a needle each time.
Oh, yes.
But first they give you something for nausea, and then they give you Benadryl, and they give you saline. And part of it is getting you ready for the chemo, and then you do the chemo. I had 2 different rounds. The first round was 4 treatments every other week, and the reason for that, it was they called it the Red Devil, and it was one that they couldn't put on the drip. The nurse actually has to come and sit there with you.
Oh, wow.
And push it in a little bit, and then they test it, because it's so strong that sometimes it will just blow out your veins, your blood veins, and so they have to do it just a little bit at a time. So that one took a long time, and I think that one, at first I was just like, man, this is a breeze, it's a piece of cake. But once it starts building up in your body, then you get sick. And my husband always tells me, he goes, I really thought we were going to lose you. I thought, but I don't remember that. I don't remember. I remember, one time being just really weak and I could hardly get up and walk. But the rest of the time I was tired, and I didn't feel like doing things, and I was always cold. But it,
That's miraculous
it was
to
just
not
tired.
remember those awful days.
Right, and he was just like, no, really, we thought we were going to lose you.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I don't remember that. And it's really funny afterwards as well. I'd come back to work and people would go, oh, your color looks so much better. And I'm like, I didn't realize it was bad. Thank you, I think. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Wow.
Good.
I appreciate that about you, though. You can laugh at the little things.
That's right.
Because sometimes you have to, gosh, because
Right.
it's just so tough.
It is, and you just have to
Laugh through the tears.
laugh through the tears and go with it, and know that you just got to be strong. I mean, because my parents were there watching me, and I had to be strong for them. I didn't want them to worry that I wasn't going to be okay.
Totally. And you talked about wearing your wig, and you lost your hair, and it grew back beautifully. But everyone doesn't lose their hair. Why? What makes the hair fall out?
I think it's just the different chemos, the different chemicals that they use.
Yeah.
And mine, it fell out, and I was bald, and it started coming back in a little bit at a time, and I was just like, oh great, I didn't lose my eyebrows or my eyelashes. And I woke up the next morning and they were all gone. They were just on my pillow. But the doctor said that that's the first thing to go, but it's also the first. I mean, it's the last thing to go, but it's the first thing to come back.
Okay.
So they go back, but you don't even think about. But even this is kind of yucky, but nose hairs.
Yeah.
So your nose, your nose, gets dust and stuff in it.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Everybody responds differently too, and I think that's obviously a common thing that you'll see, and that was something that I didn't even think about and realize. I mean, you lose something like your hair, that's such an impactful moment for you, but it's finding the right wig that looks right. It doesn't look too fake, and there's different types of wigs, and then also your eyebrows and eyelashes. Who would have ever thought that you'd have to figure out how to draw them on again and make them look normal?
Where were they?
Exactly. So there's so many things that go into it, just to give you some sense of normalcy after the fact that you just would have never even considered before.
No.
As it started coming out, it started coming out a little at a time, and then bigger clumps. And my husband finally said, it's time, we need to shave. And I was just like, oh, okay, I knew it was coming, so okay, I'm good with it. And so he helped, and he shaved my head, and I went in the bathroom and I looked at the mirror and I went, I look like a cancer patient. And we both just died laughing because I am,
But like Kelsey said, it's beautiful that you were able to still have
It is.
a sense of humor, and again, laugh through those tears.
We did. And we did. We laughed. I cried, but we laughed.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, well, wait a minute, I am. So again, it's the thinking that, this happens to other people. It doesn't happen to me.
Right.
But
And that's why, again, I have to say, I can't, I'll get a little emotional, but it's so important, in my opinion, to be someone like yourself and be sharing your experiences, especially on a platform like this too, because I think that it's also, I can only imagine it's a very isolating experience at the same time. And so to know that, hey, I'm not alone. People like me, who look like me, or who are going through something similar like me, maybe something weird like their nose hairs being like, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Yes, that's real. And you shouldn't feel weird about it. And it's kind of funny, kind of not, but hey, it is what it is. And here we are, and so I just feel like it's important to be doing things like this and sharing the experiences so that, I think there's a beautiful side to that.
Absolutely. What is your hope to accomplish? Because you're very open at sharing your story, which is remarkable.
Oh.
What is your hope?
my hope is that somebody out there listening, because when I had it, I went to they called it a retreat, but it was cancer survivors or people going through treatment, and other people talking and hearing, yes, that's happened to me. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just me. I thought, and I wouldn't want to tell the doctor about it. I didn't tell the doctor when I had a really high fever, and I thought, oh, it'll just go away. I'll just let it go away. And then I got yelled at by the doctor because I didn't call her right away.
Cheryl.
That's what she said.
I'm going to yell at you too.
But just, my hope is that other people hear that, and that other people that don't have breast cancer know that just talk to the people. Mm-hmm. Give them a blanket. If you don't know what to say to them, just go and talk to them about the game, or mm-hmm. What's going on in your life, and just talk to them like they're a normal person. And my hope is that will help someone.
Love that.
Get through it even better.
Now, you both are involved in something really awesome, Star Survivors.
Yes.
What is that?
Sure. So the Dallas Cowboys Star Survivors program is a program that the Cowboys have so graciously put on for Susan G. Komen the past 5 years. This is actually the 5th year. So it's really exciting. Cheryl's very heavily involved, and so we'll share about that in a minute. But in essence, what we do is it's a contest of sorts where we open it up to the public to either submit or have someone else submit on your behalf survivors and their stories. Cowboys fans who are also breast cancer survivors who are going through treatment as it stands right now. And there are so many deserving stories that we get in. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me how we even narrow it down to 5, mm-hmm. but we do. Mm-hmm. And so 5.
Which I can only imagine is hard.
Well, this is why we have people like Cheryl who can help us. So we have a grading system and everything, and we along with the Cowboys and our affiliates in the area and the previous Star Survivors come together and work on selecting the top 5, and then they have this experience of a lifetime where mm-hmm. they get to come out here to the Star, come meet Coach Garrett. They get their own custom jerseys. They get to go on the field, meet the players, see practice, eat lunch up here. Mm-hmm. Some of the partners for the Cowboys and for Komen, such as Ford, Kendra Scott, DraftKings, they all pitch in and just really, truly make it a day to remember.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's awesome. They get to go to the game. And so it's just it's a week away from maybe some of the sadness that mm-hmm. they're experiencing, mm-hmm. or it's a week away from the realities that they're facing, but it's also this really beautiful community that the Cowboys have created with us of these survivors who have just been through hell.
Yeah. Literally.
That's literally the best way I can put it. And they're like sisters. And it's really, really cool to see. And it's so fun having you involved. I mean, I'm sure you could share what it's been like for you to be involved in it.
Right. Emily sends it to me every year and says, will you do it for us again? I'm like, of course I will. And I'm like, this is a piece of cake. I'll read them and I'll, and I start reading them. I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's hard every year.
Of course.
Because they are all deserving. And
It's a box of tissues right here. Literally, it's not.
I do. It's not. I do. I have to get tissues out every year.
Yep.
And there's 10, and they make it easy though. It's not easy, but it's a numbering system, and you.
Yeah.
But that they tell their stories. They tell how they were diagnosed. They tell what they do, and what their families did, and then one part of it is how big of a Cowboy fan are you? And a lot of them, say, that's when I was going through my treatment, and watching the game and waiting, sitting down with my family and watching the game is what helped me get through those hard days.
Yes, I love that.
So yes, it's great.
It's also some good perspective, if you will. I'm sure everyone, I'm like this, but you have a rough day at work and you're like, that email, like per my last email. And then you open up these stories and you're like, okay, so good on that.
Emails aside.
Gonna go ahead and give myself some humble pie real quick.
Yes.
Because this is not a big deal.
That's right.
So it's really cool to be able to come together, and so grateful to the Cowboys for helping make that happen and helping just create something that I know and I feel like has gotten a lot of good and deserving people through some tough times.
Well, I thank you both for joining me today. Both of you, true inspirations. I mean, you being a survivor, your work with Komen, it's just fabulous. And I think that you being so young and successful and so pro-women, I love that about you.
Thank you.
And I wish you nothing but the best success. And congratulations on your anniversary.
Yes.
5 years.
5 years.
Yes,
Awesome.
seriously, congrats. You're amazing.
Definitely. So message from today, don't wait.
Do not wait.
Go get checked. Go get those boobies checked.
Yes.
Know it's normal for you. Don't be afraid to figure out like what looks weird, what doesn't. Talk to your doctor. And if you have questions, just go to Komen.org.
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 Okay.
They have a lot of things for you there.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
We'll see you next week on The Playmaker.